I used to believe that every man gets one miracle in his life. Mine was her. They say when you meet the love of your life, time slows down. Maybe that's true in the movies. For me, it didn't slow, it stopped. Froze, right there in a battered university cafe, over a shared laugh and 2 chipped mugs of black coffee. Her name was Claire. And when she smiled, the world made sense. Back then, I was just another broke engineering student with a stack of dreams and a bank account that rarely saw daylight. She was studying literature, always had a notebook in hand, always scribbling something beautiful. Our lives couldn't have been more different, but somehow, they fit, like 2 puzzle pieces battered by different storms but destined to lock together. I remember one night in particular. It was mid-November, raining hard. I had just found out I lost my internship at a firm I had pinned all my hopes on. I sat outside our apartment, drenched, angry, embarrassed. I didn't want her to see me like that. But she did. She sat beside me in the rain, no umbrella, no coat, just her presence. She didn't say a word. She didn't have to. She just held my hand. That night, she told me, I don't care where we live, or what we have, as long as I'm with you, that's home. I married her 5 years later. We didn't have much, just a small backyard, hand-me-down furniture, and dreams stitched with duct tape, but we had each other. That was enough. Claire wasn't just my wife. She was my anchor, my co-conspirator, my late-night taco run partner. When I landed my first job out of grad school, she framed the offer letter. When I lost my dad to cancer, she carried my grief like it was hers. We built a life slowly, intentionally, our first house, our 2 kids, those late nights with baby monitors and cold coffee. She was there through it all. And not just there, present. Fully. People called us, the couple. You know the one. The kind that makes others believe in soulmates. At parties, folks would whisper, they've got something real. I believe that. With all my heart. We had this tradition, every year on our anniversary, we'd go back to the same cafe where we met. It had changed, of course, new baristas, overpriced espresso, indie music instead of the jukebox, but the table in the corner was still there. And so were we, every single year. We'd talk about our past, our future, the absurdity of growing older together. We'd laugh. We always laughed. Our life wasn't perfect. No life is. We argued like everyone else. Over bills. Over whose turn it was to pick up the kids. Over how many throw pillows we actually needed. But we always found our way back. I trusted her. Completely. That's what makes this so hard to talk about now. Because looking back, remembering all of this, it wasn't just love. It was blind faith. I believed in us. In her. In everything we built. And maybe that was my first mistake. Funny thing about betrayal, it doesn't announce itself with a bang. It slips in quietly, like a draft under the door. You don't see it at first. You just feel a chill. At first, I thought it was stress. Claire had taken on a bigger role at work, consulting on a merger project that kept her up at night and on the phone most weekends. She'd always been ambitious, sharp as glass and twice as hard under pressure, but now something was different. She wasn't just busy. She was elsewhere. It started with the little things. Fewer good morning kisses. More "I'll be late" texts. Our evening walks, something we did rain or shine, faded away into her curled up on the couch with her laptop, screen aglow like a shield between us. I still remember the first night I really noticed it. I walked into the living room to ask her something, honestly, I don't even remember what, and she was laughing at something on her phone. A real laugh. One of those deep ones that used to be reserved for our inside jokes. When she saw me, the screen went black in a blink. I asked, "What's so funny?" She paused. Too long. Then said, "Oh, just a meme from the girls. I believed her. Because I wanted to. But that night, something lodged itself in my gut. A tightness. A tension. Like something had shifted and I wasn't allowed to ask why. After that, it was the phone. Always in her hand. Always face down. Password changed. I used to tease her for never locking her screen. Now, I couldn't even glance over without her shifting it away. Then came the girl nights. Once a month became once a week. She'd come back late, the smell of wine and perfume trailing behind her, and collapse into bed without a word. I'd ask how it was. Fine, she'd say. Just needed to blow off some steam. She used to tell me everything. Now I was lucky to get syllables. I started questioning myself. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was just overthinking things. I mean, we've been together nearly 15 years, don't people evolve? Don't routines shift? Maybe this was just a phase. Maybe I needed to try harder. So I did. I started cooking dinner more often. I picked up the kids solo so she could have time to herself. I even suggested a weekend getaway for just the two of us, no kids, no emails, just us and the ocean. She smiled and said, "That sounds nice," but never followed up. The irony? She still said, "I love you," every night. Still kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. Still wore the ring I gave her. But those words, those gestures, they felt rehearsed. Like lines from a play she no longer believed in. One night, I caught her crying in the bathroom. I asked her what was wrong. She said it was just work stress. I offered to talk. She shook her head and said, "You wouldn't understand." That stung more than I let on. Because for most of our life together, I was the one she came to when she was breaking. Now she didn't even think I could get it. I didn't want to admit it, but I was starting to lose her. Slowly. Silently. And I didn't know how to stop it. But I didn't leave. I stayed. Because love, when it's real, makes you fight like hell even when the punches stop landing. I kept telling myself, this is just a storm. And storms pass. God, how wrong I was. It was a Thursday. Early October. The air had that crisp bite of fall, and the trees were shedding their color like secrets. I was supposed to be at a late dinner with a client, some high-dollar real estate investor from Dallas. But the meeting got cancelled last minute. I didn't text Claire. I figured I'd surprise her. Home-cooked dinner. Maybe a movie with the kids if they were still up. It had been a while since we all just were together, no distractions, no tension, no phones glowing between us. Funny how fate works. I pulled into our driveway just after 8. The lights were on upstairs. The downstairs was dark. I assumed the kids were at my in-laws. Claire mentioned something about them sleeping over that weekend. At the time, I didn't question it. I remember walking to the front door, key halfway in the lock, when I paused. There was laughter. Not just hers, his too. Deep. Familiar. And it was coming from my bedroom. At first, my brain didn't want to register it. I stood there frozen, key in the door, trying to rationalize. Maybe it was the TV. Maybe she had friends over. Maybe. Then I heard it again. The laugh. His laugh. Josh. My best friend. Godfather to my son. The man who stood beside me at my wedding and toasted to forever. The blood in my ears started to roar. My hand turned the knob and I stepped in, quiet as a ghost, every footstep deliberate. I moved through the living room, past the photos on the wall of a life I thought was still real. The house smelled like vanilla candles and cheap cologne. His cologne. I climbed the stairs slowly, one at a time. My body was calm, unnervingly so. Like I had detached from myself and was watching a scene in a movie. The closer I got, the louder the voices became. Hers was light, playful. His, booming, confident. Comfortable. The bedroom door was cracked open. I could see shadows moving. Clothes on the floor. Claire's blouse. His jacket. Then I heard it. Her giggle. The one she used to save just for me. My hand pushed the door open. And time stopped. Claire was straddling him on our bed. The sheets I bought. The pillows she once cried into after watching sad movies. She was wearing nothing but the necklace I gave her for our 10th anniversary. And Josh, his smug face turned toward the door just as I stepped in. He had the audacity to smirk. "Hey, man." I didn't let him finish. I lunged. I don't remember throwing the first punch. I just remember the sound, bone hitting bone, his head slamming into the nightstand, the lamp crashing to the floor. Claire screamed my name, grabbing at my arm, trying to pull me back. I shoved her off, didn't care if it hurt. She had already done the worst. Josh scrambled, blood dripping from his nose, trying to pull up his pants. "It's not what you think," he shouted. I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because that was the best line he could come up with. Standing there, half naked, caught in my home, in my bed, with my wife. Claire was crying now. Saying my name like it still meant something. Like I'd forget what I saw if she just said it enough times. "Get out," I said quietly. Calmly. "Both of you." Josh grabbed his shoes and stumbled past me. I followed him downstairs, opened the door, and waited as he left, clutching his bloody face like the coward he was. When I turned back, Claire was at the top of the stairs in my bathrobe, mascara smeared down her face, arms folded like she was the one who had been betrayed. "I didn't mean for this to happen," she whispered. I said nothing. I just looked at her. And for the first time in 15 years, I saw a stranger. She came down slowly, reaching for my hand. "Please, just let me explain." I pulled away. "You explained enough," I said. "Upstairs. With him." The silence after that felt louder than any scream. I didn't sleep that night. I packed a bag. I left the house before dawn. No note. No dramatic exit. Just me, my keys, and a heart that didn't know how to beat anymore. The thing is, people imagine betrayal as one sharp moment of pain. But they're wrong. It's a collapse. A slow-motion crumbling of everything you thought was unshakable. And that night, my world crumbled. After I left, I drove without a plan. No direction. Just asphalt under tires and a fog settling behind my eyes. I ended up in a Walmart parking lot, of all places. Pulled into a corner spot under a busted lamp and sat there, engine idling, watching people go about their lives like mine hadn't just exploded. Families walking out with groceries. Kids laughing. A man helping his elderly mother into a car. I remember gripping the steering wheel until my knuckles turned white. My breath coming in short bursts. Then nothing. Just, nothing. Grief doesn't come in tears. Not at first. It comes in absence. In the space where trust used to live. Where laughter used to echo. I checked into a cheap motel near the interstate. Room 114. The kind of place where the sheets smell like bleach and forgotten dreams. I didn't even take off my shoes. Just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. At some point, I opened my phone. 20 missed calls. Claire. A few texts too. "Please come home. Let's talk. I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Josh is gone. I love you." That last one hit hardest. I love you. 3 words that had once been sacred now felt like a slap in the face. I didn't reply. That first night, I didn't sleep. I lay there, listening to the hum of the AC unit and the occasional semi-truck thundering past. My mind a loop of images, Claire laughing on our bed. Josh's stupid grin. Her blouse on the floor. The next day, I walked. Just, walked. Miles through neighborhoods I didn't know. Past strangers who didn't know I was a man unraveling. I bought a coffee I didn't drink. Sat on a bench and watched squirrels chase each other like nothing had changed. At some point, I called my brother. He answered on the third ring. "Hey, man. Everything okay?" I didn't answer right away. He knew. "Where are you?" "A motel." He exhaled. "She cheated?" I nodded, forgetting he couldn't see me. "With Josh." That silence, long and sharp, said everything. Then, Jesus Christ. I told him not to tell anyone. That I just needed space. He respected that. Didn't push. Just said, "I'm here when you're ready." Later that night, I went back to the house. Not to see her. Just to see it. My home. She must have known I'd come. The lights were on. Porch swept. The front door had a sticky note taped to it. "Please come in. Let's talk." I didn't. I stood there for 5 minutes. Then turned and drove away. But that night? That was the worst. I hit bottom. I cried. Not the quiet, dignified kind either. The ugly kind. The kind you feel in your ribs. I pounded the motel pillow until my fists hurt. Screamed into the mattress like it could swallow the rage. I'd never felt rage like that before, not even when I found them. This was different. This was betrayal morphing into something primal. And still, beneath the fury, was guilt. What did I miss? What did I do wrong? How long had I been so blind? I replayed our life on a mental projector. The vacations. The inside jokes. The nights we stayed up talking about growing old together. Was any of it real? That was the hardest part. Not just losing her, but losing the meaning of everything we had shared. How do you mourn a marriage when you don't even know which parts of it were true? But somewhere in that mess, beneath the exhaustion, the heartbreak, the rage, something began to stir. Resolve. I wasn't going to let this be the end of me. I wasn't going to let her rewrite my story. I would grieve, yes. But I would also rise. Not out of vengeance, not yet. Out of necessity. Grief is fire. It burns hot. Bright. Fast. But vengeance, that's ice. Cold. Controlled. Surgical. I woke up the next morning with a headache that felt biblical, but my mind was clear in a way it hadn't been in days. The crying had stopped. The fog had lifted. All that was left was the stillness. And in that stillness, a single thought crystallized. She didn't just cheat on me. She gambled our entire life. And now she was going to find out what it costs to lose. The first thing I did was call a lawyer. A friend of mine, Daniel Moss, sharp guy, ex-military, now doing family law in downtown Lexington, had always said, when the time comes, you don't need fire. You need precision. I dialed him. He picked up after the first ring. "Hey, brother. Long time. I need to see you," I said. "Today." He didn't ask why. He didn't need to. Daniel's office was in a glass tower with a view of the courthouse, ironic. The place smelled like old leather and confidence. He listened while I laid it all out. No interruptions. Just quiet nods and a legal pad that never stopped moving. When I was done, he leaned back in his chair and said, "Okay. First, we don't react. We build. You've got emotions. She's got secrets. But the courts? They only care about facts. Then let's get some facts, I said. He gave me a name, Monica Reyes, private investigator. Ex-cop. Smart. Invisible. Exactly what I needed. Monica met me 2 days later in a parking garage, like some character from a spy movie. She was in her 50s, sharp-eyed, with a voice like gravel and zero patience for BS. "You sure you want to do this?" she asked, arms crossed. "I'm past the point of wanting. I need to know." She nodded once. "Then let me do my job. Give me a week." While she went to work, I began quietly shifting things on my end. First, I opened a new bank account under my name only and began redirecting deposits. My paychecks. Side income. I didn't drain the joint account, that would trigger suspicion. I just rerouted the stream. Next, I went through the house while Claire was at work and collected every document that mattered: deeds, tax records, insurance policies. Scanned and backed up in 3 places. 1 copy went to Daniel. The kids were staying with her mom that week, thank God. I didn't want them seeing the quiet chaos unfolding. And Josh? He vanished. Coward. But Monica didn't miss a step. By day 4, she had photos. Hotel receipts. Text logs pulled from a burner app Claire thought was invisible. She'd been meeting him for over a year. Started slow. Picked up speed last spring. The same spring I took on extra hours to help pay off her car. The same spring she started working late on Thursdays. They had even taken a weekend trip to our anniversary spot. I stared at those pictures for a long time. Not because I was shocked anymore. Because I was finally done. Daniel and I mapped out the next phase with military precision. We blocked her from accessing our investment accounts, legally, of course. Froze joint credit cards. Had Monica draft a timeline of the affair. Organized a file of evidence so airtight it practically whispered, "Checkmate." "Now we wait," Daniel said. "For what?" "For the stage," he grinned. "And the lights." I didn't scream. I didn't rage. I went back to the house, kissed my kids goodnight, smiled at Claire when she walked through the door. "You seem better," she said, cautious. "Just getting some clarity," I replied. She nodded, a flicker of guilt in her eyes. And I knew. She thought she'd won. People think revenge is this explosive thing, fire and fury, glass shattering, screams echoing through the night. But real revenge? The kind that leaves a mark. It's quiet. It happens in front of people who matter. Under lights. On record. With no screaming, just silence thick enough to drown in. The divorce papers were delivered on a Tuesday. Claire was at work. I made sure of that. Daniel had the courier place the envelope on her desk, timed precisely at noon, when she just returned from lunch and her guard would be down. She called me an hour later. I didn't pick up. Instead, I sent a single text. "Everything is in the file. Do not contact me directly. All communication goes through my attorney." That was the first day she realized the rules had changed. I wasn't her husband anymore. I was her opponent. The weeks that followed were cold and clinical. Depositions. Disclosures. The mask falling from her face piece by piece as Daniel and I calmly laid out every breadcrumb Monica had gathered: hotel receipts, GPS logs, texts from a second phone, screenshots from the app she thought no one knew about. Claire's lawyer tried to pivot. Said I was being vindictive. That we should keep it civil, for the sake of the kids. Daniel didn't flinch. This isn't about vengeance. It's about character. And custody. We had a strategy, not just to win, but to expose. On our terms. Then came the gala. Claire and I had helped organize this annual charity fundraiser for nearly a decade, big venue, local press, corporate sponsors. It raised money for a pediatric hospital and put our social circle in one room for a night of champagne and handshakes. I had pulled out months ago, claiming I was too busy. But Daniel told me, "This is your stage. She'll be there. He might be too. Let them show face." We made sure the event had a screen. A slideshow. You know, the kind that shows photos from over the years. Happy couples. Volunteers. Past events. And right near the end, tucked neatly between a group photo from 2020 and a sponsor highlight, there it was. A series of grainy, time-stamped images. Claire. Josh. A boutique hotel. Same car. Same room. Week after week. No captions. No commentary. Just truth. It played for exactly 6 seconds before the AV manager, who Daniel quietly prepped beforehand, accidentally switched it off. Just enough for everyone to see. The room didn't explode. It imploded. Conversations stopped. Heads turned. Phones came out. And Claire. She went ghost white. Josh had the good sense not to show up that night. Or maybe she finally cut him loose. Who knows? I stood across the room, watching her try to hold it together. Watching her smile crack as people avoided eye contact. The murmurs. The way people she'd called friends for years suddenly drifted toward safer conversations. She saw me. I raised my glass. Not out of malice. Out of closure. In court the following month, the judge reviewed everything. I was awarded primary custody. Claire got weekends and alternating holidays. She cried on the stand, said she'd never stopped loving me. Daniel leaned over and whispered, "Too late for love. Now it's just math." She kept the car. I kept the house. I waived any claim on her retirement in exchange for full rights to our joint property. She didn't fight it. Not anymore. The day the judgment came through, I went back to the cafe where we first met. Ordered black coffee. Sat at the window seat and watched people pass. I didn't feel triumph. I felt free. It didn't happen all at once. You don't wake up the morning after a war with birds singing and sunlight pouring in like forgiveness. You wake up tired. Empty. But, breathing. And sometimes, that's enough. After the dust settled, I took a long look at the house. Our house. Every corner echoed with memories, some sweet, some suffocating. The kids' drawings still clung to the fridge. Her perfume still lingered in the bedroom closet. I couldn't live in a mausoleum of used to be. So, I sold it. Took the money, bought a cabin about 40 minutes outside the city. Quiet. A little overgrown. Had a wraparound porch and a view of the hills. It didn't scream revenge. It whispered restart. The kids adapted better than I expected. Kids are like that, resilient in ways we forget to be as adults. They didn't ask questions at first. But one night, sitting around the fire pit, my son finally did. "Dad, why aren't you and Mom together anymore?" I didn't lie. Because sometimes, people forget how to love the right way. And sometimes, we have to walk away to protect the love we have left. He nodded. Didn't push. That was enough. I got back to work. Not just job work, but me work. I started running again. Joined a martial arts class at 6 a.m. 3 days a week. Bought a camera and learned how to shoot landscapes, something I always said I'd do, when things slowed down. Funny. Things never slow down. You just start choosing differently. I traveled. Not to run, but to rediscover. Denver. Vancouver. A little cabin in Vermont with a hot tub that faced the stars. No one asked where I was going. No one was waiting to explain why I was late. I could disappear into silence, and for the first time, that silence healed instead of hurt. I dated. Slowly. Cautiously. I wasn't looking to replace what I lost. I was looking to understand who I was without her shadow. There was Ava, the painter from Asheville who laughed at my dad jokes. Leah, the divorcee who drank her whiskey neat and didn't flinch when I told her the whole story. Nothing lasted long. But every conversation, every small connection, reminded me I wasn't broken. Just rebuilt. And then, one Sunday afternoon, I saw her. Not Claire. Her. At a bookstore downtown, tucked in the back, reading Raymond Carver and sipping tea like the rest of the world didn't exist. I didn't say anything at first. Just browsed nearby, watching the way she read, eyebrows furrowed, lips pressed tight. Like every word mattered. Eventually, she looked up. Smiled. Looking for anything in particular? I laughed. Yeah. Peace. She smiled wider. That's in the back. Right next to fiction. We talked for hours. About books. About loss. About how people don't really start living until they've been gutted and forced to rebuild from the inside out. Her name was Kate. We didn't rush anything. No grand promises. No timelines. Just two people, scarred but standing, choosing to sit with each other a while. I don't know where the story goes from here. Maybe she stays. Maybe she doesn't. That's the thing about healing, it doesn't come with guarantees. But I've learned to find peace in possibility, not certainty. What I do know. I don't think about Claire anymore. Not when I wake up. Not when I fall asleep. She's just part of the road behind me. And what's ahead? Well. Let's just say it feels like the beginning of something honest. Something earned. Something mine.